Then I see a 740. I couldn't believe my luck. I mean, I had to look at it for quite a few minutes, if I put it that way. Not a lot, but a few minutes. And even then, it was a surreal feeling. I went for the test. I was confident of doing better because I had solved more difficult questions this time as compared to my first attempt. Unfortunately, again I scored a 700 with a Q49 and a V36, a single point improvement in verbal. I was shocked like anything. I could not believe what I'm seeing. I thought this is something else, something has gone wrong. I was stunned like anything. I must mention here this program, LMP program, it helped me a lot. Without LMP program, I would never have reached this score. Impossible.
So, hi Sayamdeep, welcome to this debriefing session. Congratulations on that 740 with a Q50 and a V40. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much, first of all. Yeah, I've been waiting for this for around 1 year. Like the preparation phase has been ongoing for some time. And I had a few unfortunate attempts, let's put it that way, where I did not reach my target score, even though those were decent scores, but not quite the scores that I was hoping to reach. So yeah, it feels good finally to see my all my effort bearing some fruit. So yeah, thank you so much once again. Yeah.
You're welcome. And so, yes, as you said, this was your fourth attempt. And how did it feel to finally see that target score? I know you aimed for that 740, you got that 740 when you saw that score pop up on the screen. How did it feel?
Yeah, honestly, I mean that feeling was unbelievable. When the exam was ongoing, I didn't think that it was going that well, to be honest. My verbal and my quants, both the sections didn't go as planned. I was expecting better, but I just kept on going. I kept on going because this was my fourth attempt and this was a very important attempt for me. So I just thought to myself, okay, let's see what happens. Let's just go with the flow. And then I completed my last section and I pressed on the submit button. I looked down. I expected to see somewhat a 660 or a 670, around some score around that range. Then I see a 740. I couldn't believe my luck. I mean, I had to look at it for quite a few minutes, if I put it that way. Not a lot, but a few minutes. And even then, it was a surreal feeling. Even the entire day, for a few days after that, I couldn't believe. I had to pinch myself. I had to check my scorecard repeatedly. Okay, this is my score, right? It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember you saying you were taken aback and you really had to consciously tell yourself, I have to accept this score
Yeah,
because
correct.
but I think one thing I would definitely want to tell here is you said you couldn't believe your luck. I don't think it was luck. It was all the efforts that you had put in that bore fruit on that day. So yes, it was not luck. It was the culmination of all the efforts that you put in.
Thank you so much. And because it is not only my effort, you have also helped me a lot. All this is because of you only, because since October, when I first connected with you, when I joined e-GMAT, you have been through this entire journey with me, and you have supported me even when I didn't score well in my third attempt. You were there for me, and you were continuously pushing me and telling me to again go for a reattempt. And so it is not only because of me, but also because of this mentorship program as well. So thank you so much.
I'm glad. I'm glad. It has been a pleasure working with you. So, Shayandeep, let's walk through your attempts. It was the fourth attempt, and because I know that two attempts were with us and two were before that. So, if you could just walk us through your attempts, the first two attempts, because I know that the score had plateaued, and how did you prepare to start with? When did you think of, yes, I have to give a GMAT, to how did you go about preparing, kind of a thing?
Okay. So last year, late last year, the thought of appearing for the GMAT came to my mind because I was around 3.5 years experience last year, around October. So I had plans of going abroad for an MBA. Given my years of work experience, I did not think about the CAT and ZAT because the amount of work experience, average work experience, it's around 2 years. So I thought of the GMAT seriously, and from November onwards, I started preparing for it. I was enrolled in another test prep company. Uh, when I started the preparation, I started with verbal and quants. It was it went on for a couple of months. It was good. The support I received there was good. Everything was fine. But then what happened was, on the day of the test, I took the test in August. I took some time because of certain issues that I was having at that time, work related issues, and also certain personal commitments. Couldn't take the test like as early as I would have liked. So then I went for the test, my first attempt. Before the test, I was scoring decently in mocks. I was scoring in the range of 700 to 750. So I was expecting to score around 730, 740 in my first attempt itself. But what happened in my first attempt specifically, I got very stressed when I started my verbal section, because this was the first time that I was going to the test center, and that is a different feeling. Like giving mocks at home is a different feeling, and going to the test center, and that is a different feeling. So I just succumbed to the pressure there. And I could understand my verbal section. I took my verbal first. I always take my verbal first and quants next, because my strongest area is quants, not verbal. So while going through the first few questions in verbal, and I'm talking about the first attempt here, I could feel that I was not getting the flow. The SC questions were a little more difficult, if I can put it that way, than the ones that I had seen before. Even the CR was a little more difficult. The RC was fine, but I could understand after my 36th question, which essentially is the last question of the verbal section, that I may have to go for a reattempt. I could feel something was not right. Quants went off well. Then the test ended. I scored a 700 with a V35 and a Q49. V35, I look again, when I like, even though I was expecting not a good score, like I wasn't expected to reach my target score. Even then I felt disappointed to score a 700, because I thought before the test that I would be able to reach my target score in my first attempt itself. So I came back from the test center. I had a chat with my mentor from that test prep company where I was in, and then we jointly decided to go for another attempt after a month, and we made some plans, preparation plans. I purchased even the, I think, Manhattan mocks. Yeah, I purchased the Manhattan mocks. I gave 5 Manhattan mocks. The quants is difficult in Manhattan mocks, so I was not able to score well in quants, but my score was around 6. Because of quants, my score used to hover around 670 to 700, in that range. And then I again came back for my second attempt, which was in the last week of September.
So in that verbal, what was the verbal range there?
Like in the second attempt?
In the mocks.
In the mocks, right. So in the mocks, my verbal was ranging between a V33 to a V38, with one score I had of a V40. But more or less in 4 of the mocks, it was around V33 to V38, in that range. Right. So I went for the test. I was confident of doing better, because I had solved more difficult questions this time as compared to my first attempt. Unfortunately, again, I scored a 700 with a Q49 and a V36, a single point improvement in verbal. Then what happened, while coming back from the test center on that day itself, I decided that I had already tried whatever I had to try. Then I had to make some changes. Like to reach my target score, something had to change. It cannot go on like this, because I might exhaust my attempts if I go on like this. So then on that day itself, I remember I came home. I had watched a couple of videos of e-GMAT, and I was very impressed with the style and the methodologies that were being taught in the videos, especially of CR and SC. Even though I was decent at SC, but still, then I found e-GMAT's methodologies very, very interesting and very, very effective. And I'm talking about both CR and SC. Quants, I did not watch much videos, but verbal mainly, because we all know e-GMAT is the best in verbal. But then, even then, Quants is also very good in e-GMAT platform. So what happened on that day? I took a leave. I took some rest for 2-3 days, because I was very disappointed. I had to take my mind off. And we are talking in the last week of September. So then I dropped a mail to the support team then the support team responded back and told me like, so like we can help you reach your target score. Then I enrolled for e-GMAT for our 2 months course, and then I got connected to you, and then the rest is history.
So yes. So what were the criteria that you were looking for before zeroing on a particular course that would help you improve from that score plateau that you were in?
Right. So I understood that my a critical section, my critical reasoning, sorry, was my weakest link, and I was not following any particular methodology there, and I needed a structured framework basically,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I was not because whenever when I was appearing for the test, I was not able to answer properly. I was not even able to like analyze the questions properly,
Mm-hmm.
and so I needed a structured methodology. So
Mm-hmm.
that is where I thought of like e-GMAT, because I have seen a few of the videos,
Got it.
and I saw like how this pre-thinking worked. So that is how I
Mhm. Got
decided
it.
to zero in on e-GMAT.
So you came on board, you created your personalized study plan from the previous attempt, right?
Correct, correct,
And
correct.
yes, I know that you did start with the master comprehension, then move to CR. So tell me, how did the CR course help you? Because you did mention CR was your weakest area. So from there to, from that nightmare that you had for CR to how did you transform it and how did you build your confidence?
Yeah, so first what I did, I went through the concept videos, each and every one of the
Mhm.
concept videos for all the sub application modules, and I then went through the application files, the concept files, everything, and I tried to ingrain this particular framework, which is essentially very very effective in
Mhm.
solving CR questions, even in a time bound manner,
Yeah.
in a time bound environment, especially this. Negation technique, which is very very good, which helped me a lot actually. So after I completed the concept files, I went, like I said, I went to the application videos and all, and then we solved a few custom quizzes. Before custom quizzes we solved,
Cementing.
uh, yes, correct, cementing quizzes, and that helped me to ingrain the concepts in my mind, and that
Mhm.
is how. And even then I was still not getting up to the mark,
Mhm.
but then we had to like dig deep in. That is where like error logs came into the picture,
Mhm.
because through the error logs I could track like all the mistakes that I
Mhm.
was making earlier, and I could
Mhm.
see a specific like a specific pattern, and that
Mhm.
is how I could improve finally. But then even it took some time. It was not easy.
Mhm. So confidence wise, as in how did that change before you started the pre-thinking process and after that, when you were solving a CR question, how confident were you now of getting to the answer choice?
Correct. So what happened earlier, I was picking choices. I was not confident enough because I did not actually think. After reading those questions, I did not think. I was not thinking. I was randomly picking choices, and
Mhm.
I just selecting choices which appeared to be correct, instead of
Mhm.
checking what particular like logic was behind an option. But after applying this process, a pre-thinking process, I could understand which option essentially should be correct, because I was actually thinking after reading the question. After
Mhm.
reading the question, I was able to think. I was able to pre-think, which helped me a lot. And
Mhm.
so this time around, I was much much more confident in answering the questions.
Got it. Got it. So you did your CR, you also did a little bit of SE. I remember you went through the
Correct. Like
application
not a little
files.
bit. I did the entire course. I was already starting at a very high level. I had already scored, I think, around 85th percentile in my second attempt before I
Mhm.
joined e-GMAT. So I was at a decent level in SC. But even then, what happened was I thought, because SC is one of the, I mean, because SC is one of the essential areas in verbal, and like around 11 to 12 questions come in SC in the verbal section. So I thought, like, why not go through the entire course module once again, and it helped me a lot. It
Mhm.
ingrained a couple of concepts which I was not aware of, and it did take my ability higher. Even in my third attempt, even though I did not reach my target score, I had scored around 90th percentile in this section,
And
SC
95th, I
sections.
think. Yeah.
90th or 95th, I cannot
Yes.
recall, but yeah, something like that. So it definitely helped me a lot. The This SC module is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then, yes, so because you were already at a 49, we just did some quizzes to identify your weak areas, and we did do the mocks. And how were the scores in the mocks? I know, I think the first mock you got a 750, the second one a 690.
Yeah, so I took the first mock before my first attempt. That was a freely available mock. So at that time, I was asked to do that mock because like I had not enrolled to e-GMAT at that time.
Mm-hmm.
This was before my first attempt. I had scored a 750 in that mock. Then I joined e-GMAT. Then after I did all the planning, like I did all the coursework. Then I appeared for my second mock. I scored a 690.
Yeah.
This was, I think, like 1 week before my third attempt.
Yeah.
I had scored a 690. Then I sent you one panic mail that I didn't do well in the mock. Then you gave me a plan. So after that, I gave my third attempt, my third mock, where I scored a 750. This was 2 days before my third attempt.
Mm-hmm.
After my third attempt, then again I did a couple of things. I appeared for the fourth
Yeah.
mock. I got a 710. Fifth mock, again a 710.
Yeah. So, so you got a 750 2 days before the test, went ahead. I'm sure you were confident, right?
Correct,
You
correct.
were really confident. So you went, took the test. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so like 2 days before the 2 days before my third attempt, I scored a 700. Like I scored a 750 with a Q50 and a V41, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I was I was fine with my quant score, but for the verbal on seeing a V41, I was very very happy. I got very very confident, and I thought this time definitely I'm scoring it like at least in excess of a 730,
Mm-hmm.
if not a 750.
Mm-hmm.
So I went for the test. This was on a Monday. I went for the test and I started the section. I started with the verbal section as usual. What I felt was my verbal section was going on very well. My first few questions went off very smoothly, but I saw my first RC passage. RC is my essentially my biggest strength in the verbal section, where on an average I have above 90% accuracy. So I saw my first RC passage, but what happened on the day of the test? Somehow something happened. I was not able to solve the first RC passage properly. I was not able to understand what was there in the passage, and it affected me because I took a long time to like read the passage, which I don't take. I
Mm-hmm.
can read a passage within like 2.5 to 3 minutes maximum. This time around I took around 4.5 minutes. Even then I was not able to understand properly, uh, as a result of which I got a bit tensed and I answered all the questions of that particular RC. I could not answer them properly. I had to like
Mm-hmm.
guess a few, and again we're talking about this is the I think this question came in the first block, around
Yes.
6 to 7 question between that, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it totally hampered the flow. After that, what happened, I could not answer the other questions properly, even though I saw one a BF questions in CR, which, I mean, I thought my exam was going well when I saw that BF question, boldface question. And like prematurely I celebrated actually in the exam for 30 seconds. I congratulated myself that I'm seeing a BF questions which came around the 15th or the 16th question mark, in that range. And I thought definitely I'm getting a V40. I celebrated. I wasted around a minute or two. Then I again continued answering the rest of the questions. By the time the section ended, the verbal section ended, I was very very satisfied. I thought I'll definitely score a V40, definitely at least a V40, like if not more. After that, my second section started, which is quants. For quants, it went off smoothly. I like
Mm-hmm.
for quants, like usually it is fine for me. I thought it was very good. I will score very well, like Q50 definitely. And then the other sections, then I pressed on the submit button. I was expecting to see a 730, 740, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of that I saw a 690. I was shocked with a 690 and a V34. I was shocked like anything. I could not believe what I'm seeing. I thought this is something else, something has gone wrong. I was stunned
Mm-hmm.
like anything. So I somehow came out of the exam center. I still don't remember how I came out. I was shocked like anything, let me be honest here. And then I dropped a mail to you well, we all know how that mail went. And the next day we had a call, like you called me up and like you were very supportive. You told me that this was just a bad day and this was not reflective of my true ability. But then I was down and out. Then you told me that if I wanted to, I could go for another retake in a few weeks time, which essentially I did not even have a plan for a retake.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if like if you had not mentioned about the retake at 10, because I had already submitted my application, my
Mm-hmm.
deadlines were near for like round 2. So I did not even think that I would have the option to go for a retake once after I submit the application. So then when you told me, I gave it a thought. First of all, I took a couple of days off because this was a very big setback for me. I expected to score at least a 730 or at least a 720 at
Mm-hmm.
because my scores were coming all right, but not a 690. After all those effort that we have put in, both of us, I did not expect to see a 690 on the screen. But anyway, so after I submitted my applications, which was around like 1 week after my third attempt, after my last deadline, then I started preparing for my fourth attempt. I contacted like you again, and you have and that time you had set me a plan. You made a plan. Then we went about with the plan. Then I gave 2 mocks. I didn't score too well in the mocks. Scored 710, which was quite low because I was expecting around 730, 740 in the mocks. But obviously, we will talk about all the mistakes that we were making in the mocks. And those mistakes did like help me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In the final exam, I ensured that I was not making those mistakes as I had made in those
Yeah.
2 mocks.
So, so you say you already submitted the applications. So,
Correct.
um, how did you, but why did you still go ahead with the reattempt? Did you speak to the institutes to ask if you could resubmit the score later? How did you approach that bit?
Yeah. So what happened was while submitting the application, at that time I did not know. First of all, I did not know that like I could go for a retake even after submitting the application. So after I had the call with you, this particular thing came to my mind that fine, I should go for it, or I should go for a retake if I'm given the choice, provided I'm giving the choice, because there is no point to go for retake if I'm not giving the option. So I dropped a mail to the admission committee of all the 4 schools where I had applied, and all of them like replied back within a day or two and told me that yeah, we can like update the score if you can send us the score, like if you can send us the score
Mhm.
at a specific date, within a specific date, which is around 1 month's time.
Mhm.
So that is when I thought of going for a retake. Because and like why did I plan to go for a retake? I had applied with my previous score, but my previous score was around 700. But for the schools where I had applied, that 700 was in that average mark.
Mhm.
And we all know, for Indians need to score 30, 40 points like above the average to get a decent shot.
Mhm.
So that is why I thought of going for a retake.
Got it. So yes, because we already knew your ability had been built, we concentrated on the test taking skills for
Hmm.
your next reattempt. So it was mostly test taking
Correct.
quizzes followed by a couple of mocks. And as you mentioned, the mocks did not go well. In
Hmm.
both of them, you scored a 710. I know we've shared this analysis. So if you could give us an idea as to what was it that you were not doing right on the mocks? What was the conclusion?
Correct. So what happened was, in both my last 2 mocks, I was taking a lot of time while solving the first 2 blocks. First 2 blocks of the of like for SC and for CR, I was taking a lot of time. For RC, it was fine. So what happened was, in the second block, after I completed my first block, for the second block especially, I was taking around 22 to 23 minutes. Second block total time. So as a result, what happened was, by the time I was arriving at my last block, I was left with around 10 questions for around I
Eight
think
questions, around 10.
8 or 10 minutes approximately, something like that, for the last 8 questions. So as a result, I could not apply those skills, those
Mhm.
particular processes properly in those questions. I was randomly marking those questions. So
Mhm.
as a result of which, my accuracy got impacted in my
Yeah.
last block. So essentially, it was not that I did not know the answers, or I did not have the ability to answer the question, but because of this lack of time, I was not able to apply the process, which in turn impacted my scores, total scores.
Yeah. So how did
Time
you
management issue. yeah,
Yes.
time
So how
management.
did you go
Correct.
about correcting that?
Yeah, so what happened in my final test, which was my last attempt, fourth attempt, I thought before the exam, I psychologically prepared my like myself that I would have to like rush in the first two blocks. I cannot take more than 1.5 to 2 minutes in the first two blocks, because the first two blocks, for the first two blocks, the standard of questions will be not of a very like, high difficulty level,
Mhm,
medium difficulty, so I cannot afford to take more than 1.5 to 2 minutes per question, because for the last block and the third block I would have to devote more time per question because of the difficulty level of each question. So essentially what I did, I ensured that I was not taking more than 1.5 to 2 minutes
mhm,
per question in the first two blocks. So that
mhm,
third fourth block for per questions I was left with around say 2 minutes per question,
mhm,
which happened in my final attempt.
mhm.
So luckily it was fine in the
Yeah.
final attempt.
But you did mention that during the test, somewhere you
Mhm.
felt things aren't going well. But
Mm.
how difficult was it to still keep an eye on the timer and still tell yourself, no matter how it is going, I will still, stick to that time management plan that I have or the time matrix that was shared?
Correct. So while giving the test, I started very fast. I got the first three were SC questions, and I'm decent at SC. So I took around 1 minute per question. The first three questions. Fourth was a big CR question. I took some time to answer that fourth question. Then fifth was a CR, which I didn't take much time on. So because I was keeping a track of time, what happened was around the 15th to 16th question mark, I felt that my test was not going well, because for the 15th, like around the 15th to 16th question mark, those particular CR question which I was seeing on the screen, I was not confident about them. But so I was not confident in answering. Like I didn't know whether the answers that I had marked were correct or not. 15th and 16th boldface questions, I didn't see a single boldface question, and I had this misconception that unless until you see a boldface question on the screen, that then your exam will not go well unless until like you see a boldface question on screen.
Mhm.
So that was the thing. By the time I completed the verbal section, I was not satisfied at all. I thought because of the lack of boldface questions on the screen, I must not have done well in the exam. Again, I have to go for a reattempt. I'm not coming back. Whatever score I got, I'm applying with that. Then I completed the verbal. I started with the quants. For quants as well, the first 10 to 11 questions I felt were significantly more difficult than what I had encountered in my earlier attempts. And I took a lot of time. My time management in the quant section, even though I got a decent quant score this time, was not at all good, because I took a lot of time in my first two blocks. Essentially, I took around 2.5 minutes per question, because there were a lot of questions on statistics, and statistics requires a fair bit of calculation. uh, yeah, by the time I arrived at the 15th questions, and I'm talking about once here, so I had spent around 35 minutes
Mhm.
approximately. So essentially for the last 16 questions, I was left with less than 2 minutes per question, which should not be the case,
Yeah.
because the last 16 questions, the this difficulty level goes very high for the last 16 questions, so I should have spent more time there. As a result, I felt by the time I completed my quants section, I felt that I will not be getting a good score in quants, a Q47 or a Q48, because what I felt that in the last two blocks, the question difficulty level were comparatively lesser than the first two blocks. So that's what, after I submitted my quant section, I was pretty certain that I will not be scoring well in this section, like in this attempt as well, and that I have to maybe come for a reattempt, maybe if required. But then I submitted and 740.
So it all goes to say that we have to keep our subjectivity out of the window while we are attempting the
Correct,
test, because
correct,
you never know till
correct,
you've seen the score, right?
correct,
So,
correct.
so good. I think what comes out of this is, despite thinking that maybe things aren't going well, you persevered. You did that reset and gave it your all to every question and every section. And I think that is the score is the proof of that perseverance.
Correct, correct.
So, congratulations on that,
Thank
Shayandeep.
you. Thank you. This
So
is also because of you. Like I must mention here, this program, LMP program, it helped me a lot. Without LMP program, I would never have reached this score. Impossible, because the type of support, the level of support that I got from you, especially, was fantastic. It crossed all my like it exceeded all my expectations. I didn't expect it to be this good, this LMP program. So definitely, like you have played a very big role in me getting this score.
it's a pleasure. That is what we are here for, to help students get to their target score and, you know, put their foot towards that MBA journey. Okay. So Shayamdeep, really glad it worked out in the end. So since you have been, this is your fourth attempt, you really made it happen. Are there any tips that you want to share to other GMAT aspirants out there who are looking to, make it happen, ace the GMAT and get to their dream B school?
Join e-GMAT first of all. But on a serious note, first thing is being very much diligent towards your preparation, because this will take some time. Like you have to be disciplined, and things might not go right in your first attempt or second or even third or even fourth on some
Hmm.
cases. So like you have to do analysis, get an ESR report, and also pay special emphasis on this a verbal section, because verbal is the game changer in GMAT, I believe, because quants many people score high, but verbal it's very difficult to touch that V4 excuse me, that particular V40 mark. So yeah, so and be disciplined. That's all I can say.
Okay. So thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
you just told me that you got an interview call also. So wish
Correct.
you all the very best for all the interviews that'll get lined up, and all the
Thank
best for
you.
everything that the life has to offer to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you.